everyone, James Minor here. Welcome back to another brand new video. I'm here to help you filmmakers to not only succeed with your movies, but also to help you succeed with your career. Today is all about post-production, and more importantly, how to stay organized in your post-production. And very soon you can just find yourself all over the place and not knowing what to do. And not too many filmmakers, believe it or not, actually stay organized in post-production. They always focus on the pre-production, the shoot itself, and then as soon as they get into post, then they start trying to figure out things as they go along. That's not how you want to do it. That's the last thing you should be doing. You should always be prepared. You should have your post-production figured out long before you even get into your pre-production. That way, as soon as your movie ends, it goes straight to the people that it needs to get to, and that way it actually gets made. So let's talk about how to prevent your post-production from getting chaotic. The first advice I want to give you is communication. It's just important just to keep communication open. Most likely what's going to happen is when you work on your post-production, if you're not working on any of the stuff yourself, you're going to have other people working on it, which means you're going to be going to them in person or they're coming to you. You might have to set up some phone calls, video chats, and there's certainly going to be thousands and thousands of emails being sent between each other. Keep sending emails and just check with everyone. It's like, hey, how's everything going? Is there anything that you need? As soon as communication stops, that's when things start to crumble and fall apart. Outside of communication, we need to talk about scheduling. In one of our previous videos where we talked about how to schedule your movie, we talked about how you have your post-production timeline. So this could be 4 months, 6 months, a year, several years. You can figure out what that looks like for you. And then within that time area, you can figure out how much time it set aside for editing, sound effects, music, visual effects, grading, etc. Basically, this is the last line of defense until you deliver the movie, because this is where the movie comes together and it becomes the final movie that everyone sees in the theater. We need to start scheduling. So what you're going to do is reverse engineer from the deadline. When do you need to deliver your movie? Figure when that is by festivals, release dates, whichever. When are you delivering that movie? And then work backwards. If you need 6 months to prepare, then you need 6 months. And you're basically working backwards. So let's say grading takes a month. You take that deadline, work back a month. Then you're basically going to have your sound effects and visual effects maybe be working simultaneously, so they have that period to work together. Then you have the music period, then you have the editing, and then of course there's the shoot date where you're taking all the footage and all the files from the shoot, giving it to your editor. Once you figure out that, then the next step is you want to go in and schedule deadlines for when your crew, your post crew, hand in what they need. So this is where you're going to have to get a little more minute into every single department. So with editing, for instance, you're going to be delivering an assembly cut, a rough cut, a fine cut, and a locked cut. Okay, if you want to know more about this, let me know down in the comments and I'll make a video about it. But essentially, all these steps play a very important role in the editing process, and you don't want to skip any of them. So you want to schedule it out. Work with your editor and just be like, okay, so within the first couple weeks, let's get an assembly together. And then I'm going to give you 4 weeks to deliver the first rough cut, then another week to deliver the next rough cut, and then another week for the fine cut, and then maybe a couple more weeks to work on the lock cut. This is to schedule with the expectation that this is the movie that we have right now, and we're going to gradually make it better and better and better and better and better until we're absolutely done. And then keep in mind that as soon as you have the lock cut, that's it, that's done, moves on to the next department. Don't linger on everyone else, because as soon as their job is done, it's locked, it's secure, it goes to everyone else, and everyone knows, okay, this is the picture that I have to work with, this is what I have right now, so I can work with it. If there's the question as to like, oh, we might change this, blah, 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 then that's going to ripple and everyone's going to get chaotic because they don't know, like, okay, I got to work on something that may or may not change. Don't do that. Be organized. So get this job done so we can move on to the next guy, get that job done so we can move on to the next guy, etc., etc., etc. Even when you work on music, schedule with your composer or whoever's working on music. Make sure they know, like, okay, maybe in the first week, let's try and listen through the movie and try and figure out when we want music to be in the movie. Then maybe a week later, let's work on a version of the music. Then the next week, another version. The next week, another version. Visual effects, give them a deadline. So it could be all the visual effects, or what I usually do is work it down by scenes or different shots. So like, okay, so by this date, let's have all of these shots done. By this date, let's have all of this scene done, etc., 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 and give yourself enough time so that we all know that you get the shots, maybe add some comments, try and fix them up, and then by the time visual effects is done, all the shots are done, and we can move on. Next, and I only just discovered this recently, keep a checklist. Keep a checklist of what you need in order to get through your post-production. This is through all the assembly, rough cuts, fine cuts, and lot cuts, through the editing, through the music, sound effects, everything you need. Give a checklist as to what the movie what needs to get done to the movie before you finally hand it in. This is just going to give you a ballpark idea as to where the movie currently stands and what the next steps are, because it gets really easy that while a movie's being sent off to somewhere else to get some work done to it, that you totally lose sidetrack. Or especially if you're working with several different people, like if you're doing sound effects and visual effects at the same time, maybe you're doing that and working on other projects. I mean, you have a life, that's just how it works. It gets very easy to forget where the movie currently stands. Or even right now with the whole, you know what, it gets very easy to forget that, like, hey, there's still a movie to get done. It's going to take a little bit longer, but we can't lose track as to the fact that we're still working on a movie. We need to stay on top of this. So by having that checklist and staying committed to it, it's going to be much easier for you to stay on top of it, know exactly what to do and when, and finally get the movie done. I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and share this to other filmmakers who could benefit from this video as well. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions regarding your post-production or your movies in general. Be more than happy to answer them, and maybe even make a video around them. Okay, make sure you subscribe because I got videos coming out every single week. Don't forget to check out the new awesome merch, link in the description. If you buy the merch, you support the channel. Good luck with your projects, and I will see you next time.